Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to my YouTube channel, and this is Steven here. So in this demonstration, I'll show you how you can design this awesome section on your website. Maybe you can use this for your website template, or you can use this for your hero section, your testimonial, whatever you want to use this. Really, it's possible. So I'm going to show you how you can build this section, a responsive section, using HTML, CSS, and a little bit of JavaScript. So if you're new to HTML, this will be a very good video for you to watch and learn how you can do this simple project, and maybe take it on with some other, modify it into some other things you want to do. Or if you're already designing with HTML and CSS, you can also adopt this design for your project. Okay, so without further ado, let's get to Visual Studio to show you how you can achieve this design. But before we do that, I'll first of all go to my file explorer and also create a folder. This folder is going to hold all our documents that we're going to be using for this project. So now we've created this folder. So inside this folder, this image folder contains a bunch of images that I downloaded from the internet, from Pixabay actually. So I'm going to copy this folder and put it in our hero section, add it to our hero section, okay, and paste that. So you can also download, go to Pixabay and download some of these free images to use for your project if you want to practice with me. All right, so now that we've done that, let's go to Visual Studio. So this is Visual Studio. I will open my folder, the folder I've already created. So go to my documents, heroes section. Yeah, this is the one. All right, so you see here we've opened it with our images. So these images are accessible from this folder now. So I'll just quickly go here, create a new text file. I want to fill the index with the template, so I'm selecting this option. So if I select this, it's going to populate this, our index.html, with these prepared templates. So I will save this quickly in the file as we go. So save this. So we'll call this index. So now it's already saved. So the next thing what I need to do is to start populating our index.html file so that we can add all the required sections and widgets. So first of all, I need to add a meta tag to include meta tags are self a closing tag to include I want to include Edge as one of the browsers compatible with this project. Okay, so I'll include Edge, i.e. Edge. Okay, so that's done. Then I shouldn't have done that. So the next one I'm going to add is to add a viewport. So this viewport is actually simply going to do like help us make sure that the elements that we're going to define and style are not going to be scattered everywhere when someone is viewing these on a smaller screen. Okay, so and the content for this should be just the generic content, which is width to width. Okay, we'll set it to device width. So whatever device anybody is viewing this with, it won't if it's smaller than the normal window size, normal computer size, it won't like fill it all everywhere. Okay, so damn it. Okay, add the initial scale to be 1. What am I doing with typing today? All right, 1.0. Okay, so that's done for now. So the next thing is I would like to add some space here, and under this, let's add our CSS shades. So I will introduce a link for that. So I'll call it, we've not created this yet, but we'll create it later. So I'll call it style.css. So now that we've done this, let's go to our body tag and add a section. So this section, I'm going to call it the container section because it's going to be the container to house all the other elements that we're going to be using here. Okay. So under it, we're going to add a div. So the div name is going to be, I will call this slide because we're just using this as a slide view. So, and inside this div, I'm going to add another div to house the background. So this div now, so in this div, I'm going to add I'm going to call it item. So this is our item div, and I'm going to add a little bit of styling. This styling is simply going to be a background image. So this background image is going to be, I'll use a URL to add that. So now I'm going to call our image. So our image file, and the first one is Australia. So what we're trying to achieve here, people, is this whole background. That's the item section. I've added the styling for, is for it to populate with this background each time any element is selected. You see that? So that is what we're trying to achieve with what I've just, like this styling here now. So inside this div, I'm going to use another div to add a heading. So the heading, I'm going to call it this name because it's going to be the name of the country we're trying to tell you a little bit about with this slider. Okay, so this is Australia. I missed that. Okay, so now this is our title for the country. That's this section here. Let me show you quickly this section here, Switzerland. So that title is what I've just done now. All right, so here the next thing, I will need to add a p tag, a paragraph tag. So in that paragraph, I don't have any, I'll have to call it description because it's going to hold a little text we're going to use to describe the country, to tell you a little bit about the country. Then the button will lead you to where you can find more detail about the country. Okay, so here I'll just use the lorem ipsum test, that language. I don't know if it's a real language or it looks like Latin, I think. So right here, I want it to be short, so I'm going to really cut this right about here. Okay, so if it's a language, I know now it doesn't make any sense because I've cut the part, I don't know what it means. Okay, So under that, I'm going to add a button tag for this button. So the button is going to be a learn more button, going to tell the visitor or the user to learn more about the country. Okay, so now this is like everything we'll need for each container, which is each of the countries. So everything here has been represented properly. So the next thing I'll do now is to populate this, because if you check our image, we have about 6 countries here. So we need to make this 6. Okay, so we're going to duplicate this from the style. Let me add some space here. So right here, I can close this, collapse this, and highlight this. So when I hold the Shift Alt and I press the down arrow, it's going to copy this, duplicate this. So now we have 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 6 in total, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, still remaining 1. Okay, so that makes it 6 now. All right. So now we've populated that. So we'll just quickly change the country names so that it won't be showing Australia only. So the next one is Finland, right? So Finland, and I'll quickly change that here. So the next one should be Iceland. All right. So here we're going to change this to Iceland as well. So the next one is Ireland. Okay. Yeah. So change this to Ireland. So the next one should be Netherlands. Just type in, and here type that out. So the last but not the least is the country of the Switzerland, right? So this is Switzerland. Right, so this is all our country represented. So let's go here and run this and see what it looks like. All right, the moment of truth. So as you can see, it's showing out our countries and the text description and the button and the images, right? They look like all the same. It's all blue images, but that doesn't matter. Don't worry. We're going to style that now to show you, to start beautifying this and so that it looks good. Okay, styling this. So we'll go create a new file, a new text file, and I want to fill this with template, but unfortunately CSS doesn't have any template. So I'll just select the language and CSS. Okay, so now I will save this to our original folder so that everything will be in sync. So initially I call this style.css. So we'll save this here. So you see it has joined our folder. All right. So right here, we're going to start styling our HTML with the CSS. So first of all, I want to declare our global properties. So I'm not going to be adding any margin. So I'll set margin to 0, and also padding, no padding. We'll add the paddings in the individual containers when we'll get to that. So I'll set the border sizing the box sizing, I will set that to border box. Okay, so now we've declared our global styling. I'm going to add a background just to differentiate our design from the other part of the website, because we're just doing this as a demo. It's not part of our main website yet. So I'm going to declare a background, and I'm going to give it a color of EA, like a kind of grayish color. So I'm supposed to prefix this with ash. So, and I'll also set the overflow to hidden. Okay, so now we've declared the global property for the body tag, and now the first thing we're going to style is the container, which carries all other section of our design. So here I will set the position to absolute, and I will add some top, set the top margin to 50%, and the left also as well to 50%. So we'll set the transform, because we want this to be in the center of the page, and we'll translate that to -50% and -50%, both on the left, on the X and the Y axis. Oh, sorry. So, and I'm going to set the width of our page to 1000 pixels, just to make it hanging in the middle of the page, because it's just a standalone section design, so that it doesn't look awkward. Okay, so when you are designing this on your own page, you can set it where you want it to be. So this is just a demo. Okay, so on the height is, I've set it to 600 pixels, and I want to set the background color. The background, I will set it to a grayish white color. Okay, so, and the box shadow, I want to add a little shadow to the container, which is this. Let me show you quickly, which is this shadow you're seeing here on the outline, so to make it stand out. Okay, so I will set that to 0, 30 pixel, 50 pixel, and I'll add a color to that, which is going to be db. Okay, so let's reload our page and see what it's looking like, if we have made any change yet. Okay, at least it's now in the center, you see. So we'll define that it's now in the center. So let's get along. We're getting there little by little. Okay, so the next thing is the slide. We're going to style the slide and the item together, so we're going to work on that now. So we're going to call the parent container element, and also call the slide, and also the item dot item. Oh, made a mistake there. Okay, so here we're going to set the width we'll set it to 200 pixel, and also the height to 300 pixel. So right now, the position, I will set the position to absolute because it's going to be hanging in the middle. So, and I will set this to 50% margin from the top. And I will set the transformation to translate because this is going to be partially on the right side of the screen. So we're going to set that with 0 on the x-axis, then minus 50%. So moving forward, we're going to add a border radius. No, that should be border radius. So the border radius, I'm going to make it 20 pixel, and also I want to add some box shadow to that to make it stand out as well. So we're going to style that to 0, 20 pixel, and 30 pixel, and also add a grayish color to that. So I'll make it 50, 50, 50. So then again, I'll add the background position. I've got it here, and I will make it 50%. I'll make it to go slightly to the right as well. So 50%. So moving forward, we're going to add the background size. And I will make it to cover the background. Then the display, as you make it display inline block. So, and also I'll add a transition for the time is going to be displaying. So I'll make that 0.5 seconds. So let's go back and see the changes, if we made any changes. So that is, we're trying to design this section. So the transition, the time it takes to move, you see, it's 0.5 seconds. Okay, so this is our, you see, we've decided that now, right? So it's coming together little by little, people. So I hope you're doing this along with me and practicing, because that's going to help you learn. If you make any mistake, you can rewind back the video and check what you've missed wrong. Okay, so but if you follow along, you're going to be just fine. So now, as you can see from this video, they are all to this side. Now we're going to set them to come to this side like it is in these pictures. So we're going to do some little mathematical calculation to determine that. It's no big deal. So we're going to set the nth element for the child. So we're trying to set the first element, and that is the number 1. So then, because we're setting the first element, because you know the index is usually starts from 0. So because we want element here, like now Iceland is here, which is the 0 part. So we're starting, this is the number 1 element. So now we're moving. So since there will be, we want this to display here, we're going to start from the second element, which is of the index 1. So that is why you did not see 0 there. So and I'm going to call slide again, and I'm going to call another item. So I want to style 1 and 2 together. So end child, and I'll call this is number 2 element. So, and I'm going to set the top margin to 0 and also the left margin as well to 0, and also transform it to 0. I'll set all this to 0 because I want it to use this styling that we've already used here. Okay, so I'll set this to 0 and also border radius, I'll set that to 0 because I want all of them to inherit this styling that we've already done here. Okay, so 0, and also I now want to set the width. Now I'll set the width to 100% and also the height to 100%. So that done. Now the third element, I'm going to set the third element. I will copy this again. Don't be lazy like me. You can type it along. So this is going to be our third element, and the only thing is the displays, which is the left border. So I'm going to delete all this, and we're going to cast this to 50%, to take the 50% of the page, so which is the third element. So to the left hand of the page. So, and I will copy this again for the fourth element. And I will set it to, now we're going to start the calculation for the fourth element because we have already set the first one to 50. So calc, and I'll give this another 50%, but plus 22 to 20 pixel of the page to cast it to the left side. You'll see this in a minute. So I'll copy this again, and I'll do this for the fifth element. So here is going to be double of the size before, to move it further to the left, to the right, sorry. So then the last element we're going to do is the last element on our list. But here, like I told you before, the nth element here, the nth element is equal to 0 according to our arrays, 1 and 2 and 3, until the last element, which is to infinity or to whatever number of elements you are using. So that is why this next one now is going to be n plus 6, which is the last element, and is going to be times 3 of the first element, which is 660. So that is, we'll comment this out. So that is literally how it works. So now, and I will set the opacity of the last element into 0 so that they won't be showing. We want to just display only 3 elements on the go. So, and I will set this to 0. So let's go to our page and see how these have changed. You see? Oh, this is the first one. So if I refresh this, you see it's displaying now. So why is this not in order? I think I've missed a div. This is usually caused when there is a closing tag where there is supposed to be beginning and the other elements are outside. Let's check that out and see in our HTML. So it says Finland is jumping off. So it all seems to be fine. Okay. Let's see. So let's style the content. Let's style the content and see how this is going to turn out. Okay. So I'll copy this and let's go to the style sheet and style the content. So because it's nested in the item class, so I'll call the content and see what difference it's going to make. So if I set the position to absolute and also the top, I'll give it a 50% margin. So on the left side, I'll give it 100% pixel, and the width, I'll make it 300 pixel, and also I want the text to align to the left of the container, and also the color of the text, I want it to be like white. So, and I want the transform minus 50%. So let's quickly check that out and see what changed. You see, we'll start the text. The text is now coming together, so they are properly aligning now. Okay. Yeah, I think there is an error here. I think there is a bug in our code. Why this is not displaying as it should, because it should have displayed the elements to this axis now, but it hasn't. So if you look at the one we're coding, it's not properly displaced yet. So we need to find that bug in the code and fix it. So let's first of all check our index.html, because sometimes if you accidentally close the div tab before putting the other element, it will push it out. Let's take them one by one. Yeah, Yeah, it's not here. It's not here. And let's take the style sheet. Oh, I've seen it. So here is supposed to be the number 5. Or say 54. No, 5. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 6. So, and also I forgot, I missed the percentage sign for the displacement. You see, some of these little details can put you in serious trouble. So let's go back and check if we have fixed that. Yeah, it's now properly aligned. So and also looking at here, this one, the completed project, you see that there is no text on these pictures. So, and here is displaying, so I will quickly change that so that it doesn't show. So here I'm going to add the display and I'll set it to none. So once we do that, we'll go back and check. So right now, you see, it's not displaying. So we're going to make this one come up later. Okay, let's continue styling. All right. So the next thing is the content for the second child element, which is going to be the one that is going to be displaying. So I'll say slide dot item. So it's going to be something like this. It's for the second element, and I will set the content. So, and I'm going to set the display for this content to block. So you'll see that in a minute. So now the next thing is let's set this name element. We'll set the content to block, and we're going to set this name element, style it. So we're going to, it's part of the content, is nested in the content container. So then we'll call the name. So, and I'm going to set the font size, which is, because it's going to be our title, we're going to set it to 40 pixel to make it stand out. So, and I'm going to set the text transform. Yeah, text transform, and I will set it to uppercase. I want our title to appear in uppercase, and the font weight will make it bold to stand out. Okay. So, and also the opacity is 0. I want the full color. So now we're going to set a little animation, because if you check the finished project, you discover that when we click this, the text jump up, the title jumps up, followed by the button, but this description is stand still. So we're going to style that now. Okay, so animation, we're going to set it to animate. So we're going to set the keyframes for this tag that we're creating now later, just in a minute. So 1 second, we'll set it to ease in and out, and also 0.6 seconds. Now the first element, we'll make it 1 second, because it's the first element that comes up, is at the top. So the other ones will follow. So that's done, the name tag done. Then again, we'll go to the next element, which is the paragraph tag. And I called it what? The paragraph tag, we'll call it, what's the name? Description. Let me copy that. So as is nested in the content tag, we'll call the content first, then description. Paste that. Don't forget to put the dot so that it will know that we're talking about an element. So we're going to set the description and the margin top. We're going to add a margin at the top of that description. Just 10% margin of the frame. So right here, we're going to set the margin bottom so that we'll have a little extra space before at the bottom. And I'm going to send this to 20 pixel. So down here, the opacity is still going to be 0. Then we're going to add another animation. This one is going to be slower. So we're going to call the same keyframe again, animate, and this is going to be 1 second delay to ease in and out. And I will set this to 0.3 seconds because I want it to be slower than the head title and the heading. So now call forwards. Okay, so that's it for the description tag, and we'll move to the next tag, which is the button. So we'll call the button, and we're going to add padding to the button, and I'll set the padding to 10 pixel and 20 pixel. So after that, I'll add a margin. I would like to add a margin to the top, maybe 10 pixel, and also add another margin to the bottom, 20 pixel. This might not matter, but I just like a little spacing around my box. We'll see that in a second, how that turns out. So I'll make this 0. As well, and I don't want any borders, so I'll set the border to none. And also I want the cursor, once it goes there, to be pointer, to change to pointer. Okay, so, and again, I'm going to quickly copy this because I'm becoming productive today. So I will set this to 0.6. All right. So down here, let's set that keyframe for the animation function. So I'll set the keyframes, and I'll call the animate that we've just created. So, and I will set it from the opacity. I'll set this to 0, and transform, translate, I'll set this to 0 and also to 100 pixel. And also I will set a filter, and I'll make it blur. So I'll set it at 33 pixel. Okay, so that's from where it begins, because it appears like it's coming from the dark. So then to when it appears, opacity is still 0, I will set the opacity to 1 so that then the transform is going to be 0 at this point. Make everything 0, and also I'll make the filter, the blur 0 as well. So let's check this out and see if our image is displaying yet. There's the one we're working on. You see? It's showing now. You see how it's bouncing off. Okay? So if I refresh this page again, you see that effect. You see? So this comes first, this, and it appears like it's emanating from the water. You like that cool effect. But there's something here, as you can see with our background, the text is not like visible. So now we'll have an image, a sky blue image here, which is kind of masking the content. So let's quickly fix that and add some background shade, like a light background, to make it stand out so that it will be readable. Okay, let's go and fix that now. So we're going to go to our content. It's the content page here, this content here. Yes, so we're going to go to that content. Where are you? Okay, here. Yes, so down here I'm going to add a background color to give it that shadow effect, and I'm going to make this background color black. So I'm going to add a very light border also to make it stand out. I like beautiful design, so I'll add 1 pixel to that, make it solid border, and also the color should be white because we've already made our background color black. Okay, so opacity, I don't want it all black. I'll set this at 0.6. Okay, then I want some padding. I want maybe add like 15 pixel and see what that looks like. And also I want to add some nice border radius. Okay, so I'll make it 10 pixel, not too much, not too big. All right, let's go back and see what we have been able to do. So you see, before we did this, so when we refresh, you see it's standing out right, and the padding, see, everything looks beautiful, isn't it? This supposed to be 3. Why is it 2 now? I think there is another error in 3 with. So let's find out why there is a problem somewhere. So here I made a mistake. This is supposed to be double of this, so it means that the image is overlapping with the others. You can see you have a thick background shadow here, showing that there are 2 images here overlapping on each other. So let's quickly fix that and see. So I'll fix that to 440, so 220, 440, then 660, and see if that corrects that for us. Okay, yeah, you see it's showing now proper. Okay, so now we have display. So now we're going to add a button here to scroll through our images, these buttons, you see. So this button is going to have our event listener later when we'll design our JavaScript to make this responsive as it is now. Okay, so we're going to add a button to this now. Okay, let's go back to our Visual Studio and add this button. So right here, we're going to go back to our index.html file and just write under so before the closing tag for the section, we're going to add another div class that is going to house our, and we're going to name it button. Okay, so you see that, and here we're going to add a button, and the button is going to be called previous. So it's our previous button. So here under it, we'll add another button that we're going to call next. So here we're going to use arrows. Like you can see here, we'll have arrows. We'll have arrows here. We're going to be using with these arrows. We're not going to be using text. So to get that arrow, we need to go to awesome fonts. Or font awesome, I guess. Oh, my network is lagging. All right. We're finally here. I don't like cookies. So now we're going to, no, this is, I want to go to the library. Let me go to font awesome, search on Google so that I can copy the styling first of all. So we'll copy the library first, then copy the arrow. So we'll pick the first one here, copy this link, then go to our styling sheet, our index.html, and come all the way. I'll add this here. Oh, this is too long, so I will try to shorten that. So I'll start from here to make it shorter. So let's add it. Font awesome. So I'm going to comment that out. Just highlight, hold Control and /. So just to tell you that this is a font awesome link. So now we've copied the CSS, the styling. So when we use the link, it's going to show. So let's go back to the browser and now go to font awesome, the one. So let's just go back. We'll go back and go to icons to find the arrow icon. So here I will type arrow left and see if we'll get some free ones. Oh, my reception is okay. This is arrow left. We'll open that up. My system is a bit slow today. I hope you don't mind. So we'll copy this, and we'll go to our, so we'll paste this, we'll paste that here. So this is the left arrow. So we can just paste the same thing and just change this to arrow right. Okay, so when we do that, we'll go back to the page and see if our arrow is showing yet. No, it's not showing yet, it's masked. So we're going to style that quickly to show, on our page. Okay, it's not showing yet. All right, there's no problem about that. Let's go back and go to our style sheet and style that quickly. Okay, so we'll call the button .button and we'll style that. So we'll set the width to 100% and the text will make it align to the center, and also the position is set to absolute. And also I'll set the bottom of the page, the button, to 20 pixels. Okay, so then we're going to style the individual button, and I'm going to call the button div button, and I'm going to set the width of the button. Let's see what has happened here. You see, our button is kind of tiny. It's kind of tiny, okay? So we're going to style that quickly to make it look nice and clean. So the width of our button, I'm going to set that to 10%. And also the height, 35 pixels. And also I'll set the border radius to 8 pixels. And I'll also set the border to none. I don't want a border on the button. And also the cursor pointer, I want to set that to pointer as well, so that it will be uniform on our page, so that any button you go to turns to a pointer. So the margin, 0 pixel and 5 pixels. So right here we're going to add a border. We'll add a transition, and I'm going to set it to 0.3 seconds. So I want to add a hover effect to the button. So I'll call our button again and add some hover effect on the button, and I want the background to change a little bit, and I will set it to a grayish color, AB. Right, so here, and I'll set the button color to white. All right, I think that is our styling done, right? You see that? So when you go to the hover effect, you see it changes, but it's not clicking now, it's not responsive now. So that is the next thing we're going to go to next to make it responsive, so that once it's clicked, it bounces off and it bounces back. So we're going to use JavaScript to achieve that. So let's get to that. So we're going to add a JavaScript file to our index.html. So outside the section, we're going to call the script tag, and I'm going to call this our JavaScript. I'm going to call it response. So it's going to be source, not class. So the source is going to be called response.js. Okay, so we're going to create that now. We're going to add a new file, and I will select the language and I will call it JS. Okay, so now I will save this as well to our folder, and I'll call it response, which is the name I've given it before. So I'll save this to our folder so that it will be reachable. Oh, I think I've made a mistake. I saved the JSON file, not the JavaScript file. So I'll delete that quickly and I will create another file. So select language, JavaScript, Java. Okay, so we'll do that again. Save. We'll call it response. All right. So this is our JavaScript file. So it's called response. Let's check if the name response. Okay. So everything looks fine. So now we're going to define our previous and next class, which we have already in our button, and we're going to use a query selector to do that in JavaScript. So we'll say let prev, which is prev equal to, we're going to assign it to prev, which is the name we have used in our index.html. So we'll call document.query selector, and we'll assign it to the name we have given to our button already, which is prev. Okay, so that's it. Then the next one, let's next equal to document.query selector. So we set that to the next tag that we've already given our document. Okay, so the next thing is that we're going to now add event listener to these variables that we've created already. So add event listener, sorry. So we'll call next.add event listener. So let's do this dot add event listener. So, and the event for the function or the action is click. So you see, it says appends an events listener for events whose type attribute value is type, which is the type of the and this callback argument says the callback that will be invoked when the event is dispatched. So whenever we click our button, we'll have set the function of what is going to be, what we want to happen. So, and here we're going to define that function. So in that function, you say let item, we are defining the function, which is, we're going to say let item equal to, or items equal to document, as we have defined before, query selector, or query select all. So it's going to call all, then, and we're going to pass our item into that. So, and underneath that, we're going to, sorry, I'm missing, this is highlighting because I'm missing a comma here. Yeah. So, we'll also say document dot query selector slide. So we're nesting, we're calling all those other elements which we want this action to be acted upon. That's the callback. So we want it, first of all, to take the items on the items list, which are these ones. So all these slides that we've created. So, and also they are part of the enveloping container, which is the slide. So it's the child element of the slide. The content, the item, is the child element of the slide. So that is what we're trying to define here. So now it says that then we'll call the append function. So we'll call the append child, which means that once we click on this button, we want this child element, which is the item, to be displayed on the slide, which is to move to this place. So that is what we are all doing. So that is this function. Now when we click on this, it will move. So then that is why here we are calling to append the child element on the slide, which is the enveloping container. So here, and the items, I will set it to 0. So the first element is now 0. Okay, so if we check that now, you'll see that the previous button is actually functional because we've set the condition, you see, but this is not. Oh, sorry, I'm on the old one, the first one. So it's not moving yet. Okay, so let's call the function as well for the next one. This should be for the next element, because we're appending child when we go to the next element. So the function for the previous should be, we're going to call prepend here. So prepend means we want to revert the item which is already. So like if we go to this first one, look at it. If we say prepend, so what we are saying is we want Finland to jump back to the queue, you see. So but append, which is the next going to the right, is for you to append the child element to the left. So I got that wrong. So this is supposed to be next because we're appending the child element. So it's similar thing we'll do for the previous. Dot add event listener. and we'll also call the click function, and comma, then we'll call the function, and we'll define the function. So we'll say let items, like we've done before, equal to document dot query select all. So we're selecting all the elements, all the items, which is we'll call the item, and also below it we'll call the document dot query selector, and we'll call the parent element, which is the slide dot slide, and also then we prepend. So prepend means send back the original item. So here we're going to do a little math. So it seems like our button is not responsive just yet. So let's find out what is actually causing this. Maybe we've made some typo error somewhere, and oh, I've seen that. That's confirm, not this is supposed to be documents, not confirm. So you see all those little details that matters a lot. So let's check that again and see if that makes the difference we're looking for. Refresh this. Oh, just about right. So as you can see, it's quite responsive and everything is working now. So this is how you can create this section, and I hope you learned something. So I will see you on the next video where I'm going to be doing this same design on Elementor. So make sure you subscribe and click the like button, and also tell me what you think on the comment section. If you have anything you want me to do, any kind of design you want me to put up, just let me know in the comment section, and I'll be glad to do that as soon as I have time for it. So thank you, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.